Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you will see this video. So we are on the Proverbs 31 series, verse 13 and 14. We are breaking her down day by day. And so this is getting really, really good, y'all. So verse 13 says, she looks for wool or flax and works with willing hands in delight. She is like a merchant ship abounding in treasures. She brings her household food from afar. And so we're going to keep it really sweet and simple today, but this is really, really good. When I began to look up wool, because it says that she looked for wool and flax. When I began to look up wool and flax, wool was something that represented comfort, protection, warmth, abundance, prosperity. And then flax represented, it says, unenduring emblem of usefulness, prosperity, and pureness. It was used to clothe. And so we are going to talk about a little bit about the natural stance and also the spiritual stance of what these verses are saying. So if she was looking for wool and flax, and wool represents comfort and protection, she was looking for things that will bring her family comfort, protection, abundance, and prosperity. She was also looking for flax. When I looked up flax, it meant an unenduring emblem of usefulness. So she was useful to her family. Flax also represents pureness. So she was looking for these things for her family. And it also talks about how she worked willingly with her hands in delight. So she was willingly looking for these things for her family, providing comfort, protection, warmth, unenduring emblem of usefulness, prosperity, and pureness for her family. It also says flax was used to as a linen to clothe. So that could mean spiritually. She was making sure that her family was spiritually clothed. Although, yes, the husband is the head of the household and he washes the family with the word. But there's just something about a Proverbs 31 woman, a wife who is grounded in God, who is covering her family in prayer behind the scenes. I'm just going to give a quick example. I remember when I was married, and I was at home for 3 years with my children, or at home mom, wife, whatever you want to call it. But while my family was at work, I would be doing my housework, but I would be praying and I would be interceding. And I remember there would be times the Lord would show me different things, and I would just send over a text message to my ex-husband, who is now my ex-husband, and he would say, how did you know that I was dealing with this on the job? Because I was making sure that my family was clothed spiritually by praying, by declaring the word over my children, and at that time, what was my husband. And so that's the characteristic of a Proverbs 31 woman. She's looking for wool and flax, looking for things to comfort, protect, and bring prosperity, pureness. She was useful. Also, verse 14, y'all, don't mind me. I'm going to tap a little bit into my prophetic vein, because when I began to read this, y'all, it says she is like a merchant ship abounding in treasures. She brings her household food from afar. So if you know anything about a merchant ship is kind of different from a warship. The merchant ship, it was used to carry cargo, right? It was transporting things of commodity, right? It was totally different. Its primary function was to transport, not for war, right? It wasn't used for military combat. It was used to transport precious things. And so when I start reading that, man, my prophetic antenna just like, boom, God, what you saying? And so he began to say, she was housing something great. She was housing precious cargo. The Proverbs 31 woman, it already tells us in the verses before, as we went there, that she was priceless. But now, and when we go down to verse 14, it's saying that she was like a merchant ship. She was carrying precious cargo, and the Amplified Version says she was abounding in treasure. There are treasures to you. And again, as we talked about in the other verses, when it said, who can find her? The person that have eyes is going to see there are layers to you, that some of y'all got a coat of many colors. Like, there is so many treasures. When they peel back, they're going to be forever finding the good treasures. You know, that's why I say he who finds a wife finds a good thing and attain favor from the Lord, because they're going to continue be finding and finding and finding, because it says she is abounding in treasures. She abounds in treasure. There is so many good things about the Proverbs 31 woman. When I tell you, I'm going to tell you something. There was one time when I was married. I'm not divorced because I don't know how to be a wife. I'm divorced because there was issues with abuse with myself and with children. So I know how to be a wife. But I'm going to tell you, when I had come home those 3 years to be an at-home mom and an at-home wife, I remember going into this ministry and we were sitting in the back for months and months. And I remember they had a service and a lady asked me to come up. And she began to give me a word. And she began to say, you are a wealthy woman. And when I began, and so at the time, financially, I was like, you know how you look at people sometimes like, okay, they wealthy. You know, I equated it to like natural wealth. And so I'm like, is she talking to me? But now as I'm reading this, I was a wealthy woman then, and I'm a wealthy woman now because I house the glory of God. Not only that, there are many treasures to me, naturally, business-wise, spiritual-wise, on the home front. So the Proverbs 31 woman, you're not just a housewife. So don't equate the Proverbs 31 woman to just a housewife. No. You have business ideas. There are layers to you. God has given you ideas. You're a visionary. And there's so many things that you have that would be beneficial to your family. You are carrying precious cargo. And in one of those verses, it talks about not only is she bringing things for herself, but she's bringing things for her maidens too. So you're not just precious to your husband. You're not just precious to your children. You are precious to those around you, to those who serve up under you in whatever capacity. Those friends of yours, you are abounding in many, many treasures. Some of you can operate on so many levels. You can operate in a business. You can operate as a wife. You operate well as a minister of God. You operate well in just so many ways. You're carrying precious cargo. And it talks about how she brings her household food from afar. What is food from afar? It could mean she's bringing spiritual things from afar. She's going in depth with God. But on a natural front, it means that she's going to get the information her family may need. You are an asset and not a liability if your husband is in entrepreneurship or if he's trying to better himself. You're getting information, and not just for him, but for yourself and how you can benefit the things that you're running. Not just for that, but even your children. You are going to get the information that's needed. You're bringing those things in from afar that is needed for your household. And so this verse, when I tell you, it's getting better and better and better. But also, again, there are some people, there was a season when God allowed me to see Proverbs 31 woman in a sense of as a bride to Christ, and how his heart needed to safely trust, as I stated in the other video. But also, I am carrying precious cargo and things like that as a bride of Christ. So for some of you, you may not want to be married, but read this and allow God to break it down to you as the bride of Christ. If you are not desiring for a natural, you can break this down in a sense, in a spiritual sense, and how you are to be a bride to Christ. But y'all, this is so good. I'm going to end it here. Have a good day, and we will keep going with our series until we can't go anymore, until it ends, until it stops. But this was really, really good, and I hope that it has blessed someone.